I'd like to call the November 30th, 2020 Road Committee meeting to order. First thing is Pledge of Allegiance. I do to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, all right, we do have a quorum. We have, a quorum is 4 members, so we do have four of us here. So we're gonna get rolling, and first thing is the Article 43 Tattle Street, Article 43 application. Ken, would you like to come up and tell everyone what you're planning on doing?
So, Tattle Street. We have a number of projects they're going to do. The youth, the DEP and the York County Soils have agreed, and they're going to give us a grant to half of the work. We got several places. We're going to do some turnouts. We got some trees we're going to cut down. We got turnouts along near 33rd Street. And then there's going to be a section just up from 33rd Street, halfway up. We're going to bank it up. The reason being, the water's going right down, it's going in the lake, really heavy. We got pictures of it. So that's going to be all burned up. We'll have like a ditch swale. It's going to be rip-wrapped on the back side of it. Then we go down, there's another section that goes down near the culvert. We're going to add another turnout in there, which will have a culvert's going to go to the existing turnout there because it's running just off the road and so forth. So I want to get that in the right position. And again, that's going to be the ditch will have rock in it, and, you know, like so it'll be not a swale but a ditch. Then we have from that point there we go actually to the culvert. It's going to be all ditched in there with rock. The turnout down there. And then there's across from that, in our driveway, we're putting 2 turnouts in, and then that's going to be so, because those go right into the culvert there. And the owner is going to grade his driveway a little better. We're going to have nothing to do with that. And we're going to put 2 turnouts so the water's going out, getting there. So it's those 4 different projects. So we can get the water off the road and still have it go without going through people's yards and going, it's going in the lake, that's the problem. So we're trying to keep that from happening. So that's kind of what the whole project's about. It's going to be a little over $10,000 altogether. The DEP has agreed to pay that, so that's so much.
Yeah, approximately how long of a span of the road?
Span of the long
Yeah,
span?
you know, how long, yeah, what distance is the project going to be from your first point to your last point?
33rd Street will go up to the culvert.
Well, I know, but I'm just looking for like how many, you know, mile, half mile?
I would say that could be, geez. Yeah, I don't know the exact footage,
Yeah.
but, okay, let's say close to like 400 feet, 500 feet, somewhere around that area. Yeah, I think that might be the area.
Yeah, I did
It's
go.
in different sections, I never really thought about the full one, but yes, yeah.
I did go and look at the scope of the project. It is pretty extensive. There is, you know, quite a bit of distance that they're going to be doing the ditching and the, lining it with rock. And it was really quite impressive, you know, how much they're going to be doing. So, does anyone have any questions for Ken? Did everyone have a chance to review the application?
So you're gonna do that work this year?
Well, that's what we're hoping to, yeah, we're hoping to get, we have to, because we had to come here first before we can do anything, and the contractor's ready to go, he's finishing up some other projects, so, and the DEP's approved it, so, yeah, if we can get it done without the weather changing, we will, we'll start. If not, we have to wait till spring. And the grant is good then, so, but that's what we'd like to do, get it going, get it done.
Okay. All right, I went through the application, and just to, they are a statutory road association. They did attach, proper proof. They attached the call to the meeting. They attached, their bylaws. They attached their minutes. They attached proof that it was in the watershed of the Great Pond. It is listed on Maine DEP bodies of water most at risk. There has been a watershed survey done. The specific work needed is included in the packet. We do have a letter from DEP stating that it needs to be done. And then we have all of the estimates from Mr. Goodwin.
Right.
So, does anyone have any questions or comments?
There's a 503 information in that. That was a hold up on one previously. They didn't have that.
What, the I-9?
Yeah, whatever.
Oh,
Yeah, the I-9's there, the I-9 is there too.
Yes, we have that,
Yeah,
correct.
yeah, that's, I think that was your first paper that you, so, yes, that was included also,
Just one saying hold up.
yeah. So, the application itself was 57 pages long. It was very, very complete.
That's ridiculous.
So, anyway,
I'll make a motion to accept Tattle Street Article 43 application and put it off to the,
approve it for $3,000?
for $3,000.
Yeah, okay.
I'll second that.
All in favor? All opposed? Okay, Ken, thank you. On Wednesday, I'll go to the selectmen's meeting and I will let them know that we have approved, we are recommending this for payment.
So I should be there.
I would,
Okay.
yes. I would have a representative there just in case they have any questions.
6 o'clock too?
That's at 6 also, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but you're good with us, all
Okay, thank you very much.
right?
I'm sorry, who seconded it?
I did.
Great, thanks.
Okay, the stream crossing grant. And I am sure that we all know that the selectmen decided to not put forward the grant application. At that meeting, I told the selectmen I would contact DEP and the Army Corps of Engineer about David saying that we could easily do an in-kind replacement. So I took a bunch of notes while I was speaking with them, and according to DEP, the Army Corps is going to take the lead on this with the permitting, and DEP requires certain conditions be met. One, that you would not block fish passage. Two is you would utilize erosion controls. The design installation has to match the stream grade, and the structure would have to be embedded 1 foot up to 2 foot, depending on the diameter of the structure that was being put in. So John McLean did tell me there will be another round of funding, that he is hearing whispers of additional funding, but not to hold him to that. So, with that said, I spoke with the Army Corps of Engineer. And technically speaking, there is an in-kind installation. However, there are very stringent rules that go with that. We would have to perform the work without drying the area out. No fill could be added. And at this location, that would be challenging without using fill. We would have to, the onus would be on the town to demonstrate that this is the only alternative, and that bar is very high. A drawing must be sent to Army Corps and must demonstrate why we can't do it. Now, we could not use and this was his words, we could not use the excuse that we couldn't afford it, because we have had an avenue to fund a good portion of this project, and this funding stream was turned down. So telling the Army Corps that the town doesn't have the money wouldn't fly. We would also have to, where is it? Anyway. The Colin at Army Corps is familiar with this culvert, and he did not expect that we would get an in-kind permit. The in-kind permits, they are more designed for small streams, and this doesn't qualify for that. And he doesn't see how we would be able to perform that work with the stringent requirements that would be necessary. So that's what I discovered on that. And I've also started doing a little bit of research on how big the easement actually is. So, I mean, we have a 10 and a half foot wide diameter pipe. We also have the Gambion baskets on either side of it. So that, as soon as I discover that, find that information, I placed a call to Inland Fisheries, because they're actually the ones that own the boat launch and all of that land around it. So, I called them to see if they can tell me how big the easement is, or direct me to where I can find that. So, I know, I was very disappointed that the selectmen decided to go the way they did. I went through the emails that had been sent that Jennifer had given us before that meeting. And 8 of them were from Shapley, 13 were from Acton, and not all of the 13 were actually residents who would be able to vote. So,
How many was that, Leslie?
there was 13 from Acton and 8 from Shapley.
Hey, you want to make it up, say no?
Yeah, good.
While you're coming, so the town has missed the filing deadline, correct?
Yes, the final, yeah. The grant was ready to be submitted in time.
So what would have happened if we did submit the grant and it was accepted, but we decided not to do the work?
Then the money goes back in the pot for someone else.
And does it hurt us if we do another grant?
Nope. No. Yes, Dennis?
I spoke about this at the last selectmen's meeting, and they said there was about 30 emails. That number doesn't add up to 30 by any stretch of the imagination.
This is what I was given.
Add up, 8 and 13 isn't 30.
18, right?
Well, I thought you said 8.
13 from Acton and 8 from Shapley.
Oh, 8 from Shapley, okay.
Yeah,
So that's 18 emails.
yep.
That's far cry from 30.
She included, there was included a packet, one of my emails to the state of Maine, There was, so, one of those was in the packet that was handed to me.
Well, I asked the question at the selectmen's meeting, why? I mean, the bottom line is, this has been going on for a year and a half minimum. And the road committee was doing something that was under the direction of the Board of Selectmen. And this was an enormous amount of work, not only by the people on the road committee, the fire chief, former fire chief, and fire chief before that, and road commissioners. And they could not give me one logical reason why they decided at the last minute, other than for a few emails, they're gonna change the whole direction of something that the state says needs to be done. And it's an awful lot of work for this committee and everybody else to have that happen to them. And as a taxpayer, I apologize to you guys because I know how much work you guys have been done on this in the last year, year and a half. Moving forward, and anybody can watch the meeting if they want. There was conversation about the canal bridge that I participated in. Mr. Winchell went from, it's the road committee's responsibility, to the road committee's not doing their job, to it's the road commissioner's responsibility, and it's the selectmen's responsibility. Bottom line is, when Wakefield came here, Winchell set up a time with Adam to meet with him up to Canal Bridge, totally bypassing the road committee. That is so disrespectful to the people that the townspeople elected to represent them on this, and to do all this work. I explained to Mr. Winchell and the other selectmen, it's the ordinance that, in the ordinance, the road committee is responsible for the bridges. Okay? They're disregarding what you guys are doing, and it's not right. And I don't know how, as a road committee, you move forward taking any advice from them that they're gonna follow through with all the work you do. I mean, you're supposed to be involved in this canal bridge by ordinance. You guys should be talking also with the people from Wakefield. Mr. Winchell says he's gonna go over that with Adam so you can get the price right, because Wakefield doesn't have the price right. Well, history will show you, you probably ought to have somebody else coming up with some of these prices. And that's a whole nother discussion, where we've been burnt in the past. I don't know what the answer is for you guys. I was very disgusted that they did that to you. It wasn't fair. They threw away $125,000 like it was nothing, along with disrespecting the amount of work you guys did.
Well, it was disrespectful to the taxpayer because one of the selectmen said, well, we'll just pay for it, you know, which is a very cavalier attitude to take toward taxpayer money. That was my thought on that.
Thank you, Leslie, for letting me speak.
Yeah. Does anyone have any comments, any thoughts they'd like to share?
I just, you know, I was disappointed about it, but you said you did talk to somebody from DEP? You did?
Yes.
So I called somebody from DEP like the Wednesday after the thing went through. Now, I don't know who I talked to, I explained to her what we did, I explained to her all that. She told me we can replace that culvert. The lady I talked to, I told her we just put in for a stream crossing grant, this is what it is, A, B, and C, and D, and she told me we could replace it. Now, and I didn't go really into big details, so if you have any questions, call me back, but it seems like you went into more detail with them about it, unless I didn't explain myself right to her, or she thinks we're just replacing a in a culvert in a road or something like that, but she told me we could just replace it. You know, but I don't know,
I spoke with John McLean, who handles the grants. He also used to work in enforcement.
And she said to call him, and she gave me his phone number, I called him, I hadn't heard back from him.
Was that John?
Yeah, John. I called him.
I talked to him the other day.
All right, you talk to him, because I may not explain it to it the right way, you know, what we actually have. We have a bowl of lunch that goes into a lake, I may not have, or pond, I may not have explained it right to her, but, you know, that's what she told me, which now you're saying, what you said, well, pretty much we have to do what we put in for it.
Yeah, what John told me, now, John used to be in enforcement, and I did try calling Lucian, but Lucian didn't return my phone call. So I've always had very good luck with John calling me right back, because he's the one that's held several classes, taught several classes here. So you know who he is, because you've been to the erosion control class. He didn't say that DEP would allow us to do the in-kind, is what I took from that. However, Army Corps, because it's in the water, is the major permitting agency.
And maybe I didn't explain that to her, that, you know, the culvert is literally inside the water.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't make it clear enough to her when I talked to the lady, you know. I think she was kind of thinking, it's a big culvert, but it's in the road, and, you know, maybe some water goes through it every once in a great moon, maybe, or some deal, or something like that. I probably didn't tell her enough, you know.
Now the advantage with John is he remembered our application from last year.
Yeah.
He was also very disappointed that it wasn't coming through, because he said we had an excellent chance of being awarded that money. And he said that with the additional things that we did this time, he didn't see how it would not have bumped us up to that award.
Because I believe what they told you is right, you know, I don't think I fully explained myself to the lady
Yeah.
there. And I don't really think I think she understood what I was talking about, but I don't think she was, you know, because
Yeah.
stuff like that, but no, I mean.
I mean, it's a very unique location. And I think the advantage with speaking with John was he knows the location.
And I called him, like I said, I called him, but he hadn't returned the call, so.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a number of conversations with him, and I don't generally have a problem getting him to call me back. I mean, I called and left a message, and 2 hours later, I had a return phone call. The same with Colin at Army Corps. I mean, so I've developed that relationship where
Which is fine, you know.
they see, you know, they get the message from me, and they do call me right back.
And then what made me the most disappointed was, you know, we keep going off the bridges, which is fine, that's the other side of town. This is my side of town, this is District 1, and that's my problem over there. If there was a way to get out, you know, we could sit here and not deal with this in 10 years.
But you see, this is the problem, and I probably did not explain this to the selectmen, is you come to road committee meetings, you participate, you want to get these things, resolved. District 2 doesn't seem to have that attitude, or, you know, historically, they have not. Where District 2, I mean, I tried to, you know, to talk to Joe about the culvert on Newbridge, and I could never get any cooperation.
That's my other thing. I mean, if there's a way out, like we said before, you know, we have time to, you know, really think about it, but you know, we go get the grant money, why aren't we doing it? You know, because if something happens, I mean, there hasn't been a fire out there, but we all know that a couple years ago, that's when something bad's
Oh, yeah, that's when it's gonna happen.
you know.
And then we, you know, Will, the only thing I can say, and this is, we have put the selectmen on notice that it's a problem. The responsibility now is theirs, since they're the ones saying, no, we don't need this money. You know, your plan, you know, 30 people don't like your plan, so we're not going to do it. What was disappointing to me is not a single person in those emails addressed the fact that there was a safety issue on the other side of the culvert, nor did 2 of our selectmen address that. You know, they're concerned about people not wanting more boats on the water, but they're not concerned about the people who would be cut off from fire and rescue. Or at least that was,
When you go down to the 4th of July, there's a lot of boats out there, so.
Oh, no, they're getting there somewhere.
There's a lot of boats on Great East Lake.
Yep.
I mean, that just, it is what it is.
But I don't know how the road committee moves forward with
I,
any project, because, and like I said, the canal bridge is a perfect example. There's a lot of work that needs to be done to move that forward. And my question would be, why should we waste our time? Well, this is our responsibility, the townspeople voted for you guys to do this. And the selectmen are superseding the authority of the town meeting. It doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. They're not willing to do the work themselves. That's why you have a road committee. And for them to say, or certain ones to say, or the only thing the road committee wants to deal with is Article 43, other than that, they don't do a thing. That's out of the selectmen's office. That's wrong.
yeah, we just spent hundreds of hours putting that grant together.
We'll see how it works out on budget time.
No, so anyway,
So I just have a
Yeah.
couple questions. So, just so I understand, and just to be clear, it's not that they're throwing away the money. I mean, we haven't been awarded the money, right? So we have to go through that process first. So it's not a given that we get it, but.
no, the grant period closed.
Right, right. But, so they didn't just throw it away. I mean,
Well,
it was a.
Well, they
The
didn't,
thing with that, Jay, is that they didn't give the opportunity with all your work to find out who could get it. And then the real shame is, even if you got it, it's still up to the taxpayers to make the decision if we're gonna come up with the other money or not.
Good, yeah.
And they wouldn't even give the taxpayers that choice.
Right, no, I agree. I think it's foolhardy to not even look at it, because you can always decide not to use it at some point. But what is the alternative? And so I assume that because of those emails, and I haven't seen them, but they didn't want to put a bigger culvert in? Is that the problem?
well, we weren't, well, what the sketch plan said was we were going from a 10.5-foot diameter round culvert to an 8-foot high by 16-foot wide box culvert. So what we were doing is lowering the clearance and widening it.
Right. So, and a few people on.
Now, someone told, somebody told some of these people that what we were proposing was 8 foot from the high water mark, which is not what we were proposing. So they were given misinformation. And I'll just leave.
So what's the alternative now for the selectmen? And I understand that the selectmen do have that right, and it was a split vote, it wasn't unanimous. But of course, the responsibility is for the selectmen to make that decision. But what's the alternative without going for this grant?
Pay it
They
for,
discussed
the
that?
taxpayers pay the full freight when it happens? And one of the selectmen seemed to be okay with that.
Okay?
And the truth of the matter is, Jay, the selectmen's responsibility is to do the will of the people. And they took that right away from the people to make that decision. And they don't have the authority to do that. They can do it, but it's not morally right.
So what's next for that project? Is it out of our hands now, or?
Well, I'm still at this point trying to find out how big the easement is. People were upset because nobody was notified. I told the selectmen, this is, shouldn't be a surprise, we've been talking about this for a year and a half. So this is no surprise, should be no surprise to anyone. People want to be notified that this stuff is, gonna be talked about. I'm gonna recommend that They all get sent a letter saying it's gonna be spoken about at road committee meetings and selectmen meetings. You know,
But should
people need to
pointed
be
out
engaged.
That,
If this is important with that, to them, they need to be engaged and know what's going on in town.
it is kind of wrong that we would have, or that the selectmen would have made decisions based on some comments from people that don't live in the town and it's not going to impact them one way or the other on their taxes, but it will impact us. I think that should have been at least taken not as seriously as if somebody lived in the town.
Right.
That's all I have.
Denny, you have anything you'd like to add?
Nope, not really.
No?
It's just, I don't know why they did what they did, but they did what they did, so we're stuck for another year, really,
Yep.
essentially. Till next year, we can refile, hopefully.
So, that brings us to Canal Bridge. What do we do about that?
I don't see why we haven't moved on. I don't know why the selectmen haven't tried to go to a special town meeting or push it to the finance, I mean, I myself, after what the selectmen from Wakefield had to say, you know, I kinda think it's a cheap fix. I don't know why we just don't roll with it.
Yeah, that bridge is rated, I believe, 23 on the sufficiency rating out of 100.
I mean, there's no doubt it needs to be fixed.
Yeah,
I think they should roll faster with it, trying to,
we have been
hope people
talking,
lose interest.
yeah, we have been talking about this for over 10 years. The Wakefield dropped a solution on our lap. And,
I think it's time to move on with that one.
you know, we've already voted that they should move forward. You know, part of the problem is that we're an advisory board. All we can do is make recommendations. So and the only power we really have is to be noisy. Because you know, they can take our recommendations and throw them in the trash.
So what is the selectmen doing, what are the selectmen going to be doing about this?
I think they're sitting on it. I think they're sitting on it till springtime to push it through with the normal town meeting. I think that's pretty much what they said.
And is that okay for Wakefield, or?
I don't know.
See, I think they should go over and talk with Wakefield, personally. All three of them, because
Well, it should,
Just to
it
show
should
that
be,
they're interested.
it should be the road committee, the
yeah.
road commissioner, who is actually part of the road committee, and the selectmen.
No, there should be people sitting down, we should go to the meetings or however it goes, to let them know we're really interested, because I think, I know me as a taxpayer I am, but I think most taxpayers, for that kind of a savings, is ready to move on with that project. Just my opinion.
Cause they say they, could buy the bridge now.
Yeah,
If we moved on now, they could buy the bridge.
We can roll on that.
Time and do the work in the spring. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a no-brainer, you know what I mean?
I agree.
So, and unfortunately, Adam's not here to find out how much money he has in his budget left.
Well, the truth of the matter is, Leslie, he hasn't done any paving. There's $150,000 that was voted by the town for paving and reconstruction. What you're doing up there is you're paving and reconstructing.
Right.
Because nobody said where it had to be spent. In that department, they have the money to move on with that project right now. They have the money to pay that $125,000 to secure the whole thing. Our current road commissioner, he cannot have a plan for paving next year because he hasn't been road commissioner long enough or lived in the town long enough or even done the job long enough to know what needs to be done. This isn't a criticism. This is a fact. Okay? So, where's he gonna pave next year? Who knows? I mean, Joe put out a plan, a 4-year plan, and it was for $200,000 each year. So where are you gonna pave? Nobody knows. So why not move forward with this project? The people have already approved the money. That's what it said. Paving and reconstruction. The money's there, there's no reason not to move forward. There's no reason for the selectmen not to have given Wakefield what they wanted, and that was a commitment. He asked for it several times, and they wouldn't give it to him.
Right.
And what that means is, they're not even committed to putting it forward to the people. They just showed you that with West Shore Drive. I wouldn't trust a darn word they say.
So should we be at the next meeting and ask them if they've met with Wakefield and why not? Or
Well, I have to give an update anyway on Wednesday for Tattle Street. So, someone want to give me some questions to ask them? And I'll write them down and I'll ask them. What do you think we should be asking?
Ask them if they plan on meeting with, is there 3 selectmen in Wakefield?
I think there is.
Ask them, see if they're gonna meet with the 3 selectmen in Wakefield and see if the road committee can go. Or we can be right here and talk about it. I mean, the guy there's pretty straightforward, told us, I mean, I don't know what we're gonna talk about. You know, then maybe mention what Dennis said, I don't know. He's got a good point. If the money's there, why don't, just ask for it back this year with your budget, for your paving, that's all you gotta do. To me, I'm not trying to say anything, but if you take that money, do that, you go and ask the township for more paving money, and you took that money and replaced that bridge, I guarantee you they'll give you more than $150,000.
You're pretty happy to get it fixed, I know that,
That's right, Will.
after all these years.
That's just,
Well, I mean, that money, how much did Joe spend?
None of it.
None of it, he didn't have a chance to.
All right, so his whole summer budget is still sitting there.
Well, I don't know
it's
what,
paving, but
about the paving, not the summer, the
Paving,
paving.
all right, the paving and reconstruction?
Yeah, he didn't pave anything after the new year. What was in it prior to that, I couldn't tell you. I think there's still some left over, but I'm not myself sure.
All right, so,
But I do believe you got, what, 125 this year or something, 150? 150.
for paving and reconstruction?
Yeah.
All right. All right, so we want to know how much is still left in that budget? Because the budget season is going to come up in June, we're going to be looking at
Yeah.
appropriating more money,
Yeah,
right?
Right.
oh yeah, every year.
Right, but that money doesn't lapse though either. It stays.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it rolls
Yes,
over.
it does. They roll it over.
Yeah, it rolls over.
Right, it rolls it over to the next, so you'll get double.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
That's what I
that's what I'm
do
saying. It
last.
doesn't,
That's what Will had to do. He didn't spend his paving last year, so it rolled over to this year, so we had enough money to do the project.
right, so it doesn't lapse. It stays there and you can continue to spend it, but we'll give you more money
Yeah,
on top of it. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, I meant, it lapses over in the next account, with my interpretation of the word.
And,
What money rolls over? There's only a couple of them, right? All
All of it.
They got quite a few now.
all the road budget, I think, right? Summer maintenance.
right, so that just rolls over and then, okay,
Quite a few now, what's the deal?
okay.
They said, because their approach is done, right?
Yeah, that's what they said.
You know, I mean,
Pretty much. They did that back in 2010, the worst of it.
So, all right. So what else do you want me to ask?
I mean, that's it. I mean, I know they said something about Adam getting some numbers together. I mean, you could ask him if they've done that. Did they say that last week?
David said that he was gonna work with that to come up with some numbers. That's what Winslow said.
All we can do is ask. Most of it-
Come up with some numbers to do it on his own without Wakefield?
God, to do back inside.
No, to do the approach.
Wakefield was willing to do the whole project.
125 or something, right?
Yeah,
Right in that range.
but Winslow says he don't believe their numbers.
Well, if they're paying for it, who cares?
No, I give them to me, yeah.
All right.
If we think of anything else, we'll let you know.
Yeah, just shoot me an email or a text, all right? And then, so we can ask those questions. Anything else on Canal Bridge? Snow and ice class, I really enjoyed. I talked to Mr. Brown, I thanked him for coming. Also, if you guys need, continuing education for your erosion control, John McLean will give you credit for that. Just email him, let him know the date of the class, and your certificate number. I sent it to him for my certificate, so, and he's gonna try to hopefully get some more classes going too. And RSMS, when I talked to Paul, I asked him to contact Jennifer to set up a time for coming in to do the RSMS training, so we know how to use that computer system. So, hopefully,
Should get up and going.
yeah,
Joe did work last year. I've done a lot of work the last 2 years, so we,
yeah.
that's all written down.
Hopefully, we won't,
Right? We don't have-
hopefully we won't have to go back out and do another survey. That took us 2 days of time to do the surveys.
For those newer committee people on the committee, this was all completely done in 2010. It was all installed, it was all done, already reviewed. 10 years later, we're still having the same conversation. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Anyone else have anything? Any public comment?
Like I said, good luck, you guys. It doesn't make any sense to me. None of it makes any sense to me.
It doesn't me either, Dennis. It's very disheartening.
I mean, we're looking at these three bridges that the state says we need to do something about. And if for some reason you could do the same thing down on Road Bridge that you're gonna do, hopefully do on the Canal Bridge, look at the amount of money we're saving. That one there, 200,000. Say if this one up here is even 150,000. That's 350,000. For $750,000 max, we can solve all our bridge issues. And that's what I meant there about throwing away 120.
Oh, I know, I completely
We might
understand.
never be able to get that again. We didn't have it, you're right. But
But we had the potential
the
to get it.
opportunity.
Yeah.
a lot of
It was a lost opportunity.
And shame on them, they talk about these committees, and I've been part of it. When they say like the Warren Finance Committee, the Road Committee, don't work with the selectmen. Well, I think they got their ass in too.
So I've been on the committee, I think, for 2.5 years maybe, and I know that right from the beginning, we've been talking about the Canal Bridge, we've been talking about the Road Bridge, and we've been talking about the culvert. I don't understand, you know, here we are 2.5 years later, and we're no closer to any decisions than we were 2.5 years ago. And we know what the impact is going to be if they close down Canal Bridge.
They closed it in the spring, it's pretty sad, whether we get the money or not. But I'd open it back up and do the work, I guess.
That's a huge disservice to the people of town of Acton. It is what it is.
All right, anyone else?
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor?